Today is the 28th day of Kislev, the 29th of December. And we were talking about Amalek. We finished with Amalek last week. And we said like this, Lo ken Amalek yodeh ribono. Nope. Maybe it's not here. We're in this one. לא כן עמלק, יודע ריבונו, שידע ניסים דקריאת ים סוף יציאת מצרים, ולאור ליבו ללחום עם ישראל. So Amalek, he's not like the spirit of folly. He's very, very different. The spirit of folly is that it fogs your mind. It's as if you don't remember God. It's as if you're not conscious of God. It takes over your consciousness. But Amalek is very different. For he was aware of the miracles, of the splitting of the sea and the exodus from Egypt. He had the audacity to wage war against Israel. So it doesn't matter what he knows. He knows everything. He's with you all the time. He knows exactly what you know. This stems solely from a deliberate intent to rebel. We talk about this, that this represents the aspect of chutzpah, brazen insolence, a kingdom without a crown. We said a kingdom without a crown is that you have a king, but he's not interested in the kingdom. He doesn't really have a crown. He doesn't really have a claim to the crown. He's just using the kingdom for his advantage, for what he wants. He's going to take it over, not to rule it, not to make it better. We said that the animal soul wants to make the body survive. That's what it's interested in, a real thing. A non-Jew who is alive and he doesn't have Torah, he's still interested in life. And he can be a very good person and develop the world and everything. It's a kingdom with a crown. Amalek is a kingdom without a crown. What he's going to do is he's going to abuse the body. He's going to use it in such a way that you're going to deteriorate. It's not feeding it and treating it properly. והוא בחינת המנגד לעניין שליטה דמוח על הלב, שכוח שליטה זו הוא בעל כורחו של הלב. And he is the one who opposes the principle of the mind ruling over the heart, the brain over the heart, which is an innate principle. This control is such that even against the heart's true desires, it compels the heart to comply. That's what the innate principle of the brain ruling over the heart does, leaving no room for deviation, even the slightest from the dictates of the intellect. But he fights that. And he proposes, that now the heart's going to do something completely different. He doesn't want you to have control. That's basically, he wants to take away the natural control that a person has. So that's what it means that Amalek fought against Israel when we came out of Egypt. That he was able to attack. So this type of control that a person has over his heart, this is what's known that we're a kshe orif, we have a stiff-necked people. What do you mean by stiff-necked? That we have control over our heart, if we want it. And so the brain has control, which is influence and extension of the... So this is... It's the stiff neck, when it comes to... People say stubborn, but it's not just stubbornness. It's not a regular stubbornness. It's because I decided that. We said it was mitzcha. That was like something a little bit different. That I already decided something, so I'm going to carry through with it, regardless whether I still feel it, still believe in it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to follow through. Here he's saying stiff-necked means it's the natural innate quality that a person has to control the heart with the mind, with the brain. So that's what he opposes. For the neck serves as a channel through which the influence and extension of intellectual spirit flows into the heart. Okay. That's why they call it stiff-necked, because it has the strength, the firmness to dominate the heart. So the neck is like the conduit between the brain and the heart. That's how it's seen. So this is a good trait. It's not a bad trait. To be a stiff-necked people is actually a good trait. And there's a number of verses that prove this. He's going to say one in a moment. So it was because of this positive trait that Moses said, for they are stiff-necked people, therefore you should forgive them. In Exodus 34:9. And now we understand, the Hasidic take on this is, until now this was pshat, almost pshat. This is not like anything new. Maybe a little Zohar, shtickle Zohar. But now he adds the Hasidic understanding of this, is that this is what the sages meant when they said that the Jewish people, the Israel, are the boldest among the nation. What do you mean boldest? Boldest, he means that they're brazen. In what way? What's their brazenness? Not that they're chutzpahdik, not that they are like show-offs or anything like that. What he meant was that they have, here, oz is like power, strength. It's not the way people understand that azin means that they're not very polite. That's how they usually translate it, brazenness or chutzpahdik. But oz here means like oz, chokhmata oz lachacham, that wisdom gives strength to the wise. It's being strong. What? Right. So there they say, what do you mean by nemel? So usually most of the time they say it's brazen like a leopard. But it's not brazen. It means to have strength to rule the heart. He says that is what causes bravery. There's a lot of things that come because of that. So there is an element of the heart being in a certain way because it's controlled. But the point is that this is a positive trait, and that's what they meant, that before the Torah was given, then the Israel were the most bold or the strongest among the nations. Not strength in physical strength, but not necessarily, but strength in the sense of being able to control their heart. And now we understand what stubbornness is. Stubbornness is the opposite. Okay? So stubbornness is when there's no mind behind it, there's no awareness behind it. It's just like, it's a little bit like the mitzvah that we talked about before. It's like that now the person is stubborn. He just wants to do it, and it's not, it has nothing to do with the influence of the mind on the heart at all. And it's the opposite. What this causes is, this is exactly what Amalek does. He causes you to be stubborn, to follow your way. Why are you still doing this? You see that it's not good for you. Why do you keep following this? What's the other? Because stubbornness. You stubborn. It's like the fact that there's still a Jew alive who after October 7th doesn't understand that you can't make peace with these animals. They're not animals, they're Nazis. Like, if you still can't understand that, it's just stubbornness. It's nothing else. Your mind already told you everything. What more do you need? There's so much to say about it. I don't want to even start. So, where one stubbornly resists without reason or understanding, acting against his dot, against his knowledge, against his consciousness, here translated as awareness, and preventing it from fulfilling the dictates of the intellect and knowledge. This is the brazen audacity and great insolence that reflects the trait of Amalek. This is what Amalek is. That's stubbornness. So it's very interesting. So we have stiff-necked versus stubbornness. And the stiff-necked is a holy trait, is a good trait. It's an innate trait that actually every human being has. It's just that the Jewish people are said to be azin shebomot. They have this in more amount than anyone else. Naturally, obviously, there's always a spectrum. The people have more, people have less, but they all have this trait at their disposal. But Amalek, what he does is exactly the opposite. He makes you go against. He takes over. It's also so. What's that called? So the explanation. I don't remember if he says it here. He doesn't say it here, I think. But one of the explanations of what Amalek means is amlak, or ammolek, which means a nation that chops off the head. Molek, limlok is like to what you do with a finger. You don't need to when there's a pigeon or a dove and it's brought as a sacrifice. So you can't shecht it. It's too small. You can't slaughter it. So what they did is with their finger, they used to cut off its head. So that's what they do. What do you mean they cut off your head? They disconnect the brain from the heart. So that's what Amalek does. ואינו מניחים לקראת ציבור המסכת והדעת ואיזה חוצפה והזות גדולה. It's also called azut, but it's a different azut. It's a zut of chutzpah. וזהו מידת המלך ויזנב בך כל הנחשלים אחריך. רוצה לומר, אותם שהם עדיין בבחינה הממוצעת הנעל, שלא נהפך לגמרי ליבם. So we said that the middle stage is when you're in the wilderness. You're a Beinoni. Like we are all in the wilderness now, where this is me. In fact, this is probably what the Alter Rebbe meant. His explanation, what it means to be in Midbar Amim, at least one of the explanations, in the wilderness of the nations before the redemption, is that you're in an intermediate state between being in Egypt, completely unable to control yourself, and you're in Eretz Yisrael, where your heart is transformed. In a recent class, Rav Ginsburg explained that the end of every Beinoni in the end really is Itapcha. Rav Ginsburg explained last week, he started the Tanya again, so he gave a class on the Tanya. It was a beautiful class, and one of the things he said is that the frustration of a Beinoni, of a person who's in the middle, is that he constantly has to force himself. But he says, but eventually you do reach the land. Psychologically, eventually you do reach a place where things change. And at that moment, there is itapcha. There is such a thing.
Even down here, we
even and it comes.
Say the tzaddik is 1 in a billion. I mean,
But a Beinoni who is like a tzaddik, there's everyone. That's a tzaddik veralo. He still has. Itapcha is transformation. It's like entering the land of Israel. Eventually you do enter, and you see that, wait a minute, now I don't need to force myself anymore. It's changed. Now, in every area of life, this can happen. Now, usually it happens with age. You just get tired of the Yetzer Hara. You don't have strength for it anymore. And so suddenly you have good years where you're free to pursue holiness. Because you're not even if you are still attracted to certain things, you don't have the motivation for it anymore. You don't have the strength for it. So it's a type of transformation. But there's also other transformations that happen in life. Like a Baal Tshuva has transformations. In the beginning he's stubborn, he feels that he's still fighting against his nature. And slowly things change. Until eventually it seems natural. Now it doesn't mean that tomorrow he can't look back and say, I used to feel differently. It's like a tzaddik veralo. He still understands what the appeal of the other type of life was. But it's no longer his life. You understand? I left this a long time behind me. It's not me anymore. So he can look at someone else and appreciate, okay, he has a different life, it's okay. He's not a kanai, he's not a zealot. He's much more balanced. But for him, this is over. This type of life is over. It's transformed.
And maybe in certain areas you can't say that.
It's not in everything. It's not in everything. But what a person really has to pray for is that in those things that troubling me the most, in that Hashem make me tzaddik verado, at least some transformation. And when that bring me to a good and wide land, Eretz Tova Uchava. So we still need to look at that phrase a little bit more because we haven't really taken it apart. But B'ezrat Hashem, the rest of the week we'll have some more time. So because we're doing this in such length, we didn't get a chance to do Ner Chanukah. So this is also very much related to Chanukah because Chanukah is Netzach and Hod. It's mostly Netzach, but it also connects to Hod because there's Halel veHoda'ah. Halel veHoda'ah to both say.
Chanukah is Hod. Shlatz is something like this.
Nachon. Usually the way we say is what's special about Chanukah is that it has Hod. There's Halel in other, like in Purim, we don't say Halel for various reasons. But the rest of the holidays we do say Halel, but we don't say Hoda'ah. There's never that we say Halel and Hoda'ah together. It's only in Chanukah. So really Chanukah is like this whole thing, the two shitot of which foot did he blemish? Was it the right or the left? In any case, Chanukah is both of them. It's the Itapcha. It's really the Itapcha. It's really one that we'll get to it because historically it's all related, and that's the last part of the second chapter.